Right, so before we get any further, I just want to let you know this video is not clickbait, but we have a ton of information to get through that I've been working on for a while. And also, if this video goes on to help you in any way whatsoever, feel free to leave a like to show your support. Also, if you are new to Sea of Thieves in any way whatsoever, feel free to subscribe and hit that notification bell, and have a look at the back catalogue of my channel because I have a ton of guides that are useful for all skill levels. Finally, if you want to get involved in some cool Sea of Thieves events, feel free to join my Discord. It is linked down in the description. With that being said, I've made you guys wait long enough. Let's get into it. So originally I was going to release this as part of a myth busting segment, but the more I deep dive into this and the more I learned from my own experience, I eventually decided to make this its own standalone video because I uncovered a few things that are really interesting and will hopefully allow you to find Megalodons a little bit easier. So first of all, let's talk about the Megalodon to start with. Now, some of this information was taken from the Sea of Thieves wiki. Shout out to those guys, they're absolutely amazing. I've worked with them in the past before, and some of the knowledge they give out to us is truly the best you can have anywhere. So if you get some time, I implore you to have a look through the Sea of Thieves wiki and just spend some time and deep dive into the background of Sea of Thieves. Nevertheless, here are a couple extracts taken from the Sea of Thieves wiki. So it's important to note that Megalodons are scaled depending on ship size. If you're on a solo sloop or a duo sloop, you're going to notice it'll be considerably easier than taking on one in a galleon. Think of it the same way as you'll find a kraken. Krakens will be much more difficult if you are taking them on in a bigger ship as opposed to a smaller ship. You'll also find that the spawn of a Megalodon is very much proximity based. The Megalodon that spawns on you is not going to leave the area that it originally arrives in. So for example, if a Megalodon spawns on you near the Sea Dog Tavern, it's not going to follow you all the way to, say, Wanderer's Refuge without despawning. Although that's not to say the same type of Megalodon won't spawn on you somewhere else, type being the breed of Megalodon you find. And of course, finally, there are 5 different types of Megalodons. So you have the original hungering one, the Crested Queen, and the Shadowmoor. These Megalodons all share the same spawn rate. Then you have an Ancient Terror, which is a slight bit rarer than the rest, and finally the Shrouded Ghost, which has a very, very slim chance of spawning. Now, don't believe the whole Shrouded Ghost isn't real hype. That is a very great meme, but if we're breaking down the facts, quite simply, it is a real Megalodon. Although, don't get me wrong, that's not to say you shouldn't tell your friends that the Shrouded Ghost is a lie, because that's still a quality meme. So increasing the spawn rate of a Megalodon. Now this is entirely my experience, so it could be wrong, but take note, I've been studying this for a couple months now and this is what I've come to find. So first of all, a common myth I see is that Megalodons will have an increased spawn chance on you if you do have a higher pool of loot. This in fact is not the case. Now, as nerdy as it sounds, I do have a spreadsheet to back that fact up. If you would like to see it, just let me know and maybe I'll make another video in the future. And finally, it's not like the Kraken. You won't find them only spawning when there's no server event active. Think of them more like skeleton ships where there's always a chance they could spawn on you. So hopefully that's cleared up some common misconceptions I've seen amongst the community. Right, so the final part of this video, where can you actually spawn a Megalodon? So there's one confirmed Megalodon spawn location that I have found, but there is a bit of a lengthy process that's involved to get to it. So as previously mentioned, you'll find that deep sea locations do have increased spawn rates. For example, a great spot where you could find a Megalodon is between the Sea Dog Tavern and Wanderer's Refuge. That whole area seems to be free game, and I found it's a very nice spot if you're looking to force spawn a Megalodon. And it also seems that there can only be one active Megalodon in a server at any time, meaning if someone else in your server has a Megalodon spawn on them, you probably won't be able to get one on you, although this may need a little bit more fact checking to clarify, but it seems that is the case. Also, if you do have any proof to debunk this claim, head on down to my Discord, it is linked in the description. Show me a photo in there. So, finally, where is the one spot that you can go to that will always force spawn a Megalodon? Now, as I mentioned earlier in this video, this does take a bit of a setup, but I'm going to explain it now. So first of all, unfortunately, if you don't have the final tool tail and the Shores of Gold unlocked, you can kiss this method goodbye because it won't be able to help you. But you could always always find a crew member who does have the final tool tail unlocked and can get you into the Shores of Gold if you want to do this yourself. You can either do that by checking out my Discord or joining the official Sea of Thieves Discord. Also, if you are grinding for tool tails, what you can do is go ahead and check out my channel. I've got a ton of guides there as well. But essentially, you're going to need to get to the Shores of Gold and do the final tool tail. Now, you are going to have to complete it for a 100% guaranteed spawn rate. So while exiting the Shores of Gold after completing the tool tail, you want to head west to head on over to Galleon's Grave. That bit of shroud between the Shores of Gold and Galleon's Grave is always going to force spawn you a Megalodon of any variety, assuming you've completed the tool tail. If you haven't completed the tool tail and sail west though, you won't exactly find a Megalodon inside the shroud, but more so just on the outside to the west. This isn't confirmed, but you do have an increased spawn rate. Although if you do force spawn a Megalodon over to the west without completing the tool tail, you need to abide by the rules I mentioned earlier, mainly having no other active Megalodon in the server. Although you can actually have an active Megalodon in your server and force spawn one with the Shores of Gold method, so that's where it can get a tiny bit confusing, but hopefully that does make sense. So as far as force spawning Megalodons, that seems to be the only way that we can confirm a force spawn. Now moving forward, I'm going to try and open this up to the community as well, so if you do spawn a Megalodon in any location, please document it and let me know down in my Discord, or preferably in the comments of this video so I can keep track and work on a more updated one in the future. Maybe we might find more than one force spawned location. So with that said, that's pretty much the entire video. If you guys have enjoyed and you've learned something new, feel free to subscribe to that notification bell. That way you can keep up to date with more videos like this in the future. And finally, how long do you guys think it's going to be until someone takes this entire video and claims it as their own method? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video.